Howdy folks, welcome back. Today we're going to be checking out the Creedmoor Sports TRX-925 Precision Reloading Scale. This scale was designed specifically with the precision hand loader in mind. So what comes included? Well, of course you get the scale, a power adapter we have plugged in there. You get your powder pan, the draft shield with a lid, and 3 stainless steel calibration weights at 2 grams, 10 grams, and 50 grams. When you get it out of the box, these are sealed up. These 4 plates are taken apart and individually wrapped. That way they're all safe during shipment, but it's pretty easy to slide them together. So I've got those pre-built right here. And we just need to make sure we're on a nice level surface. We need to be isolated from vibrations. Don't be leaning up on your desk. Don't be using the reloading press right next to it while you're trying to weigh a charge. Don't be trying to seat a bullet at the same time. That's not going to work out. Always position the scale away from any air drafts. That could be an open window, a heater, a fan, air conditioner, etc. I've got a dehumidifier here in the garage, so I got to make sure that it is turned off because it will create a wind draft. It's best practice to make sure you're in a temperature stable environment. Like I said, I'm out in the garage, so it's going to get pretty hot this summer, and it was pretty cold in the winter, but for the most part, it's not either freezing or, 110 directly in the garage. It also notes fluorescent lighting could affect the scale's electronics. I have large lighting around here for recording purposes, and I'm not quite seeing any deviation yet with the scale, so that's good. They might be far enough away to not be interfering, but that is something to be aware of if you're having issues with the stability of your scale. So to help with any of those issues you might have with wind or airflow, that's why the customizable draft shield is included there. You can pull off 1 or 2 of the sides to just have it covered from one side. You can leave the top on if you want and slide in from the side. That's what I was doing. It was working out really well actually. So that's the purpose of our draft shield here. So you can see here with the lid on, no airflow is going to get around it, and the only way to get inside of it is through the little hole in the top there, and that's where you're able to trickle in the end of your charge. So we're going to pull this off real quick and start over with calibrating the scale and powering on. Alright, so we're going to power down here and go from the top. Real quick before calibrating, let's take a look at our check weights here. They all come individually packaged, and this is why I'm wearing the gloves actually. They say not to handle it, don't get any grease or oils on them, and try to keep them in their packaging when you're not using them to keep them clean, or it could throw off their weight. That's how precisely these are calibrated here. So this one's a nominal 2 grams, high grade stainless steel. It's got the assembly date, serial number, density, and overall very impressive here. So we've got these 3 here. Look at the 10 grams and 50 grams there. Now that we know what's up with our check weights, we're going to go ahead and get calibrated. So as soon as we turn the scale on, it's going to go through its warm-up cycle, and then it's going to ask for a 2 gram weight. It's going to be flashing until we give it the 2 grams, or if you wait long enough, it'll actually skip the calibration and go straight to weighing, which I guess you can do if you're in a hurry, but this really only takes a minute, and you should probably be calibrating every time you sit down anyways, if you were worried about this kind of precision to begin with. So we're going to power up, it's going to ask for 2 grams, and that's what we're going to do. Alright, it's flashing for 2. We'll go ahead and set him right in the middle. Calibrate. And now 2 is going to go solid. Once we pick this one up, it's going to flash the next weight and ask for 10 grams. We'll put him up. It's asking for 10. Try to keep him in the center. There, it's solid for 10. It's going to now ask for 50 once we take this one off. And try not to lean on your desk or anything like that. It could mess with the balance of your scale. And we'll set our 50 gram check weight. And you saw it flash for a second. 50 was solid, and now it switched to grains, and that's what we're going to be weighing with. So once we take this off, it should go right back to 0. And there it is. You could see down here in the corner when it was reading it, you could see it flashing down here with a dot. Now that it's stable, there's nothing there. So we'll put this really awesome anti-static pan on the scale here. You'll see it's reading it, so we've got a dot. It'll stabilize, and that'll go away. So just for a quick test, let's pull this pan off and go back on once it settles. We should get 130.40, and let's just see if it can weigh the same scale, the same pan, 3 times in a row. 130.40. You see it goes up to 41 and then it settles back down. One more time. Now it seems like it's 1/100th of a grain lower. Okay, maybe we'll try a 4th time. Stable at 0. Set him into the center. 130.40. That's pretty dang consistent right there. All right, so over here next to me, I've got a Charge Master loaded up with red dot powder, and we're gonna see if we can't see how precise the Charge Master is or how off it actually could be. All right, so our Charge Master is calibrated and zeroed to this scale pan, and we're gonna type in 10 grains and see if the two agree or not. So here's 10 grains. Now, a lot of times people will use their automated powder dispensers to maybe stop a 1/10 ahead of their, goal. So we would type 9.9 and then bring it over here to the Creedmoor Sports TRX-925, and that's where we would trickle by hand the very last 1/10, where you can even measure a kernel. And that's going to be a lot easier with a large stick powder compared to these flakes. But if you're into super precision loading, you're going to want to check every single charge and make sure that you're hand weighing all those as precisely as you can. So we're now at 10 grains. It says we're stable. That's our first charge weight. We're going to see how the TRX-925 agrees or not. .01 grains. That's pretty close right there. So we'll put our pan back on and it'll start weighing the next charge. And here's our second charge of 10 grains on the Charge Master. And we'll verify how closely we are. .98. So how close is the Charge Master? Obviously, if it's going to round a couple hundredths, it did that, correctly. So let's try a third one and see how close it is. It's also interesting to note that the Charge Master pan is 129 grains, where that one is 130. So they're both pretty close. So it's not like the Charge Master's, way off from where it's used to being. Okay, third charge. And we're stable at 9.99. So if you need to be really precise with your charging, this is really going to show you the difference in every single kernel. I'm going to use this scoop here and we'll just take a few flakes out and see what happens. So I'm just going to grab a random amount out and we'll see what happens when we try to trickle. 9.43, let's drop a few in there. Wow, so it takes a few seconds to start reading. Wow, that was maybe 4 or 5 flakes of red dot. Let's drop one. Okay, one more. There, it went up 100th. Wow, now 200th. Okay. Seems to have settled there. And there's a stink bug. He gone. Wow, okay, I'll drop 2 more flakes of red dot and we'll see if that equals 2/100ths of a grain. 1. Oop, it jumped up 1, 2. Give it a little tap to see if it'll wake up. Alright, wow. Of course, these flakes are very small. Maybe we should try out a stick powder and see how much those weigh. There we go, it's jumping around. And actually, it has 2 sensitivity settings on here, so let's test that. Alright, so the scale can be changed to react slowly or quickly to changes in weight, and this is accomplished by pushing the tare button for 3 seconds, and it will change its speed reading. So speed 2 is going to be more sensitive to trickling. If you are set to speed 1, that's more if you have issues with wind draft and you have to use your shield and stuff like that. But right now, speed 2 that we have it set to, we're going to be more sensitive and we'll be able to trickle better with that. So we'll just pull some out there. Obviously it re-zeroed, and let's just see if it'll read a little quicker. Yeah, wow. Definitely more sensitive to each little flake here. But this is probably a bad example, or it could be great. But let me go get a stick powder and we'll see how much each little kernel of, say, Varget might weigh. Alright, well, I couldn't find the Varget, but we've got some Vitavori N160 here, which should be mighty chunky. So here's a nice beefy stick powder. Let's just see how much a couple of these kernels might weigh. Didn't read anything with 1 kernel, but I think it has a minimum of a few grains before it actually... Whee. So now that we have a little bit of weight on there, let's see if we can trickle a kernel. So 1 kernel weighs 2/100ths. Of course, they're different sizes, but it is picking it up. There goes 2. Wow, I could see someone like myself with a little bit of OCD going totally nuts with this stuff, trying to be exactly super precise with every single drop of powder. Especially because some of these are moving, you know, 2 or 3/100ths, some are moving more. So you're gonna have to hand pick your kernels one at a time with some tweezers or something. That's a whole new level of OCD I don't know if I'm ready for, but thanks to the nice folks at Creedmoor Sports, we get to test that out. Yeah, you'll see it acts a little quicker to trickling here, so that's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and switch back to the other speed and see how it reacts to these big, thick, chonky flakes of extruded powder. So we'll dump this out and we'll hold our tare button, and that's going to change our reading speed again. So we're stable at 0. Speed 1. And now this should be less sensitive, so it will actually be more difficult to trickle. Once again, you have to have a minimum amount of weight in there for it to start picking up. And then let's just drop 1. Seems like it's still reading pretty well. There's a couple kernels. Yeah, so far with all of my lights, my camera, my phone, not having the windshield on, I'm gonna say this is a pretty stable scale. Although it's very sensitive when you need it to be, but it's stable enough to not be annoying. But I bet if I blow on it, it's gonna read that. Wow. So yeah, that's just a little bit of wind going by. Can agitate that up to several tenths of a grain. Yeah, that's just me lightly blowing on it, putting 3 grains of weight on it. Wow, now I can do things like measure out our primer weight. Does anybody sort primers by weight? You could have different amounts of compound in there, right? Let's go ahead and 0 here, and we'll just weigh some random objects. Here are some cast bullets that are powder coated. That's a 155 grain mold with the proper alloy, but I have range scrap mostly, so it's slightly heavier. 160.53. Here's the same bullet, different powder coat. You gotta check them with the smash test. And that bullet is 2 grains lighter. Wow, dummy, learn how to cast more consistently. Here's a 135 grain maybe, 133 and a half. And this is a 147 Lee 9mm, which should be really close to 147. There's a 149, okay. Wow, we can weigh all the things. Here's a spent large rifle primer. And that weighs 4.77 grains, whereas this other one has 2/100ths less compound in it. Wow, there's a third one. Even less yet. Wow, am I really gonna have to start weighing out primers? This could get fun, fellers. We could count all kinds of stuff. One more test. Let's weigh some brand new brass. Here's a little sneak peek of what's coming on the channel though, haha! So let's just weigh out 5 random pieces of brass and see what those look like. All right, our first piece here of PPU 762 by 54R, 150.96. 149, that's 1 grain lighter with the brass there. That one's closer to our first piece by 1/10. That one's dead on with our first piece. And that one's our lowest yet, missing 1.5 grains compared to our first piece. So, wow, I'm gonna start measuring and weighing and sorting everything, fellers. Super impressed with the Creedmoor TRX-925 precision reloading scale. This thing's freaking awesome. The check weights are next level. The F1 high grade stainless, freaking lab grade level. That's good stuff. Why do they include 3 check weights? Because that's gonna cover anything you're gonna weigh with this. The 50 gram, that's like 770 grains or so, and that's gonna be as much as you're gonna be putting in anything. So that'll cover everything and make sure the scale is calibrated to the things you're gonna be weighing. So anyways, there's a few more settings here. We can switch between our measurement units. We have grains, ounces, carats, pounds, or teal, and then back to grams that you calibrate with. And you simply cycle through those with the units button. And like I said, it does have a minimum weight. It needs at least 4/10ths of a grain before it starts accurately reading. And in the manual here, it even mentions primers may be weighed without an issue. You can also control the backlight here. To turn that off, we're gonna press and hold the mode button until it says unit. And there we'll push the mode 4 times to go from count, P, pre, BL for backlight, and then the tare button on. Press the mode button again, and then tare will turn it off. Here I'm gonna go to a different feature though. We're gonna call it auto, and there's the auto feature. What the auto feature does is it'll turn off your backlight if there's nothing happening, and once it senses something again, it will in fact light up. We can also set up for counting, which, you know, you can count pretty quick, faster than you can weigh things, so I don't know if that's applicable to us, but the scale is capable of counting if you need that function as well. So that's it for features, but just a few notes on caring for your scale. Remember, it is a precision measurement device. If treated with care, it can last for a lifetime. Couple simple things to keep in mind. Wipe it down after each use using a dry, lint-free cloth. Get a microfiber towel. Do not use compressed air or duster. That has the potential to shove kernels down into the inner workings, and that could be really bad for your scale's accuracy. Make sure to protect it from abrupt shocks. Don't drop the darn thing. You paid good money for it. Take care of the guy. Do not place anything excessively heavy on it, which is over 60 grams. That is the weight limit for this scale. So don't smash this in when you're putting the little plating on there. Just gently slide it down where it belongs. You don't have to force it. Also, make sure to not spill anything on it. Protect your scale from moisture. Keep it in an area where you keep all your other reloading gear. Low humidity. Keep it protected from the elements. It should be good to go for a long time. A few notes on preventing scale drift, like you can see it doing from me talking or even blowing air on it. Yeah, let's show the usefulness of the draft shield here. We've got that on there, and we can even put a lid on. And now that shouldn't be moving at all. Couple other things to note for preventing scale drift. Remember, the drafts, the breezes, moving airs, or even breathing on it can cause instability. Keep it free of any electronic devices, LED lights, Wi-Fi, even high-powered equipment such as drill presses, powered case trimmers, annealers, space heaters, any of that kind of stuff could draw the electricity, and you'll see those fluctuations in your scale as well. So if you want to reduce that even further, use an isolated power supply. You can get a granite slab to set it on to make sure it's level. And again, keep it at least 3 feet away from any other electronics. Well, I guess that's going to wrap it up for now, folks. I highly recommend this if it is within your budget. I'm going to now be obsessing over everything like bullet sorting, brass sorting, all this fun stuff. And as far as precision loading, you're going to bet I'm going to be sitting here dumping the last kernel that I need to get my charge perfect. The included check weights, that's super awesome. Even the other brands, they include a generic, it's 50 grams, there you go, that's all you get. But this is a little more specific to potentially different charge weights, or even way more than any charge weight should ever be. So it covers the entire range of weights you'll be measuring. And it's got several nice features like the draft shield, the anti-static pan. Notice there's no flakes or kernels stuck to that at all. Super clean, very nice. And that was one of the first things I noticed, that there wasn't any powder sticking to it, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, if you're interested in one of these, I'll leave the description down below. You can also check out the accompanying article on dummyroundreloading.com, so make sure to go and check that out for some extra reading. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I appreciate it, and we will see you in the next video. Have a good one.